Hello everyone, Happy New Year. Hope everyone is keeping safe and taking care of yourself and your family. So, over the next few minutes, to set a context, let's look at India's economic journey, more so in the manufacturing space, and what to expect in the coming decade. So, if you see over the last 2 decades, share of services in the Indian economy has increased from 44% in FY19 to around 54% in FY21, while that for manufacturing has largely remained stable at around 17% of GVA. As you'd recall, 1990s reform opened the Indian economy, which was followed by a Goldilocks decade, from 2000 to 2008. The growth was aided by growth in services, investments, as well as strong global growth. The decade after that saw, and also including the last few years, saw very important reforms like GST, bankruptcy code, labor reforms, etc. So now looking forward, India is set to reach $5 trillion GDP over the next few years. Let me remind you that we are very lucky to be able to participate in this growth journey. Coming to prospects for manufacturing, as a country, we have already taken multiple steps, or I would say over the years, we have moved from agriculture to services and now inching towards manufacturing-led growth. At this juncture, India's manufacturing sector is witnessing push from domestic as well as external factors. Why we'll come to domestic factors in a moment, but before that, a word on external factors which are also in favor. Dependence on China for many developed countries is high across the value chain. And after the recent pandemic, where many countries witnessed supply chain disruption, now many countries are consciously trying to reduce their dependence on China. India also offers a large end market for global multinational companies, which in itself is a huge opportunity for their global growth plans. In this context, while it is difficult to replace China, but India can be positioned as a China plus country. The critical components for making manufacturing as a success are land, labor, infrastructure, capital, and right taxation structure. Fortunately, Indian government has timely identified these requirements and have taken several steps to boost India's manufacturing capability. On the domestic front, apart from reforms which took place in the last decade, some specific reforms have been taken by the government to boost manufacturing. First, cut in the corporate tax rates. Now, Indian corporate tax rate is at par with the Asian countries. And recently, the launch of PLI scheme, Production Link Incentive Scheme, which is set to increase the share of manufacturing to more than 20% over the next decade. This rise is similar to what India has seen in the last 50 years. So what we did in last 50 years, now we are trying to achieve in the next decade or so. So net, I think the Make in India initiatives will not only reduce import dependence, but will also boost exports. These initiatives will provide Indian manufacturers a much needed level playing field. India has already seen a few success stories in manufacturing in the form of pharma, steel, and machinery exports. With the PLI scheme, this is expected to be replicated in many more sectors like electronics, auto, etc. The important point is the PLI scheme is an output-linked scheme, unlike earlier schemes which were input-linked. This will ensure that companies will invest in latest technologies so as to make higher sales and take benefit of this scheme. The planned outlay is about 2 lakh crores over the next 5 to 7 years. The incentives is roughly 5 to 10% of sales and can potentially add more than 1.5 to 2% of India GDP, which in turn also means we can sustainably grow more than 7.5% over the long period of time. And lastly, Indian demographics too, with almost 2/3 of the population between age of 15 to 60 years will be supportive for this initiative. Needless to say, execution will be critical to achieve these goals, and we are hopeful, given the multiple initiatives taken by the government, manufacturing sector is set to see a good growth over the next decade. Thanks.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.